name is Louis Pope. I'm the security head nerd here at Enable. I was previously one of the sales engineers for RMM and in Central, so I've got a lot of technical experience with the products. I also come from an MSP previously, so 6 years there before taking this job. So you will hear me talk about things in technical implementation ways a lot more than you will hear me talk about things in grandiose, well, you should do something. I will tell you how you should do something sometimes. Of course, that's always, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Not everybody's environments are the same. Not everybody's business structure is the same. But I do strive to give everybody actionable information. So again, if you have any questions during the office hour session today, please use the questions section because that's where I'm going to be paying attention to. Plus, it records those, and if I miss anybody's questions, I've got an opportunity to go back and answer them later via email if I need to. So what are office hours for those who are here for the first time? Really quickly, office hours is just a 1-hour session that we do every month. It's focused on security. We review Patch Tuesday, anything of note, anything that's been causing complications, any significant out-of-band updates that have come out from Microsoft recently, any security news that's worthwhile. If there's any new upcoming security features or changes that are worth noting on the Enable side, we'll let you know about it as well. We'll go over some cookbook items that are relevant to security. So if you don't have any familiarity with cookbooks, you're going to get your first exposure today. We'll also have a little bit of time for Q&A on the end, but make sure that, don't hesitate. If you have a question about something I'm talking about, throw it in the chat. I'll try to address it as I go. So first thing, recent security news. We're just going to focus on, well, the two that have probably been making the most noise that your clients know about and may have been asking questions about. The first one is Colonial Pipeline. A follow-up on it, systems have been restored. The point of compromise apparently ended up being an unmonitored VPN that was no longer supposed to be in use. So this may have been a case of, shadow IT. It may have been a case of something, no, they didn't have proper asset tracking, environmental awareness of, their environment. So something that got ignored for years because it wasn't broke and it wasn't causing any harm. Well, it ended up causing a lot of harm. The FBI was able to intercept and recover a majority of the ransomware payment for this. So you're going to want to make sure that if you have clients asking about this or are aware of this, that they're not taking the wrong lesson away from this, that they're not taking away the, well, okay, so things can get fixed and we can get our money back. The FBI is not going to step in for all 60,000 yearly reported ransomware incidents that occur. So make sure that if your clients do know about this, again, they are not taking the wrong lessons away from this. Another recent ransomware event that was worth talking about is the Jbs Foods. They were hit with the ReEvil ransomware. It was on May 31st. They were back up by June 4th. This is another thing that's probably going to drive some conversations or you had some questions about. Don't know much about this one on the execution, what actually happened, but just knowing that it happened, it was something that had an actual tangible impact on more than just the business that it occurred to. There was a cascade effect for this. Again, clients are going to talk about it, make sure you're aware of it and that you've got a good story to tell. Whatever the story is you're going to tell, make sure it's a good one. We also had a recent advisory come out from the FBI about a rise in prevalence of business email compromise scams. So these are the scams where somebody impersonates somebody else within the business, and whether it's via compromising an existing account, spoofing, however they're doing, but they're reaching out over email to socially engineer someone to get them to wire money somewhere they should not be wiring money. It's been on the rise recently, hence the advisement from the FBI. It includes the wiring information for, where is it supposed to be wired to. And something unique about these particular scams is that they are immediately converting into cryptocurrency to thwart recovery of funds. So whatever they're doing now, they've changed up their tactics so they can more quickly move that wired money out of the control of the banks and into cryptocurrency to basically just guarantee they're going to keep a hold of that money once they've gotten it. So if you don't have clients that are, if you have clients that do not have mail protection of any type, this is a good thing to have a discussion about. How confident are they in their employees and being able to recognize these types of scams? This is another way to, I don't want to say not do due diligence and going out and buying or creating a full, robust phishing simulation campaign from a security vendor or doing one yourself. But it is a exercise you can perform with any of your clients to just go out to their manager, to their operations manager, to the owner, and say, hey, we want to do a phishing simulation. Here's the email that I want to send to your comptroller, the email I want to send to your secretary, to your bookkeeper. And you can have it sent from the actual owner's email address, so you can simulate an actual compromise of an account. You can send it from one where you just spoof the name on it. But you don't have to go out and rely on a full-fledged training solution just to do a one-off test to just prove a point to a client if they're being a little bit hard-headed or hesitant about having mail filtering in place. Well, if you don't have mail filtering in place, these are the types of things that can get through. Let's see how your employees contend with this. For Patch Tuesday this month, so we had a smaller amount of vulnerabilities that were addressed by Microsoft this month than last month. It's down to 50 from, I believe, 55 last month. 5 of them are rated, well, actually should be 6 of them are rated critical, and 6 of them are under active exploitation, with 1 more rated as exploitation more likely. So there are some out in the wild attacks that are occurring right now with these active exploited ones. So these should be on the top of your list for getting addressed. We have, again, I always like going and pointing out and gaining some perspective on what these numbers actually mean. So Microsoft released patches and security updates to address 50 vulnerabilities. Well, what does that actually look like on the back end implementation? Well, that means there are, in this round of Patch Tuesday, 910 total different variations of patches and security updates available for the different OSs and versions of OS. So patch management makes this fairly trivial process for us to deal with, but you don't need to, sometimes clients think what we do is magic, and yes, this kind of does make it feel like magic for us, but don't let how easy this has become for us negate the complexity of what's actually happening. You are taking on the responsibility for your clients to say, we're going to take the time to figure out where all 910 different patches and updates belong and where they should go. You're automating with patch management, but well, you're not selling a service. I mean, you're selling a service, you're not selling a tool. And whenever somebody doesn't buy a hammer from you, they buy a house from you. So they don't care how you build it, they just care about the end results. Doesn't matter which tool you use sometimes. So don't let this point escape what you're positioning what you do as. Also, for anybody on the call that is not on the technical side, maybe your sales, maybe your operations manager, uh, this is what the technicians and the engineers have to deal with. This is the scope of what patch management is for them. They have some tools to help them out and make it easier, but they're still having to deal with a lot of things every month, and it never ends. It's always a renewing cycle. So for those operating system vulnerabilities, the critical ones, I've got those up on the screen. Um, there are some remote code execution ones. Most of them are elevation of privilege, so they have to be combined with another exploit to really to create a full attack chain. And that's actually what has happened. Two of these are being chained together with a Google Chrome vulnerability. So Chrome is almost everywhere on all endpoints at this time, unless you've taken a stance to say no, we're not going to allow Chrome, and we're going to put in measures to make sure Chrome's not installed on endpoints. You've got Chrome floating out around there, and you got users that are using it. So because of that combo attack chain that's running right now, it's very important to get your Chrome and these addressed, because that combo of the Chrome extension and these elevation of privilege flaws give an attacker the opportunity of just navigate somebody to a compromised web page, and the rest of it follows. Cumulative updates. So we've got KB 500, 3637, and 3635. These are for the current versions. There was also a surprise inclusion of a cumulative update for Windows 10 1809. These have included security fixes and some collection of bug fixes. Nothing too special of note aside from improvements on some file management and HID device improvements. There's also the new news and weather feature that's been added that you'll start seeing showing up, and that's just a little a ground bar notification in your taskbar, bottom right. It lives around there, kind of where the blue notifications and everything else, new feature that they're pushing out. So if you start seeing that, no, it's not a potentially on an application or junkware that somebody's downloaded. It's not, WeatherBug 3.0, although it kind of is WeatherBug 3.0. But don't worry about it. If you see it, that's what it is. And with that surprise 1809 update, again, I'm going to remind everybody 1809, 1803, and 1909 are classified as end of service. If you're not on one of the extended service channels, the long-term service channels, then these are officially non-supported versions of Windows that you should be moving away from. Amazon Sidewalk. So this is something I really couldn't find anywhere to slap it in, because it's just one of those weird random things that everybody is talking about at the moment. If you have not heard about it, Amazon is going to be enabling sharing of your bandwidth via their smart devices, so Echo, Hubs, those types of things. There is an ability for you to disable this feature. Read up about it, because you could definitely build yourself a little marketing campaign around this, about securing home networks and environments. You can be passive aggressive about it. You can be forthcoming about it, that it's, yes, this is maybe not the best idea, but security wise, it's not that bad, because, well, it's going to be on a guest isolated network, blah, blah, blah. You can come up with all types of messaging around this. And there's a lot of emotions charged around this. So there's, everybody's like, well, I don't want to give away something I bought for free. There are some security concerns, privacy concerns. So there's multiple ways you can use this for a marketing campaign. So worthwhile to read up on it. You can put your tier 1 technicians on this as a project, and they can just sit there and bill 20, 30 hours for the week just disabling this feature for clients. Patch Tuesday issue. So far there's been not a lot of noise around the updates this month. There has been a little bit of chatter, and I've had some people reach out to me for some 20H1 updates that are causing blue screens on certain devices. Nobody's been able to peg down any specific commonality between them all. It's not anything that's being mentioned widespread though, so it may just be the luck of the draw and certain people are getting hit with it more, but it is something to be aware of. There's also KB 5003637, which is causing issues with remote event log access. So if you update one system with this update, it is implementing some improved security hardening on the endpoint. And because of that improved us hardening, it's not going to allow communication with the other devices that do not have it applied, and that's going to cause some applications, some services. If you've got PowerShell scripts that are out there that are using remote PowerShell to pull information out of event logs on remote systems, this might be causing some complications. The fix is you either remove the patch from all systems or you apply the patch to all systems. That's the only way to deal with it in the moment. On to the cookbook. So for anybody that's not been seen the cookbook yet, so the cookbook is where we put scripts that either we as the nerds have made, scripts that the sales engineers or the success engineers have made to help out our partners by request. In those situations, we'll get those posted up here. Once we've got them posted, if you want to grab them for yourself and reuse them, great. If you want to modify them, you can download them, great. You can also submit your own scripts to the cookbook. QuickBooks, tongue slip. But you're able to upload your own. We give you credit for it. So if you want to build a little bit of a name for yourself, some reputation, feel free. I wanted to point out 3 today. One is a script to disable SMB version 1. SMB version 1, all kinds of vulnerabilities associated with it. It's part of what the Eternal Blue exploits function off of. Cobalt Strike beacons can also be, the first step in a chain attack that can be used to compromise SMB1 environments a lot. And this is how a lot of ransomware attacks make their lateral movement inside of environments, is because of SMB version 1 being enabled. Best policy is always to have it turned off, but in certain environments, certain clients have antiquated hardware or software that requires the continued use of SMB. Personally, that's a liability I would never want to have to deal with, but sometimes you just have to. But what this script does is just give you an easy, convenient way to disable this. So if you make that statement that, we're going to harden your environments, we're going to harden your systems, and part of what we're selling is our security services to always make sure that this feature is disabled because we are fully aware of the complications and the risk that it poses. And then you can just set it up as something that automatically runs all the time as a recurring task or scheduled task. Monitors if apps are installed. So these are 2 more scripts that are for monitoring if certain pieces of software are installed on your endpoint. So you go in, you've got a service contract with a client, somewhere in there in the SOP, in your bill of work, in your documentation, however you do it, somewhere there should probably be a list that says, this is the software that we put in place, and this is the software that's part of the business line software that the client uses, and these are the things that should be present on the systems, and these are the things that we're responsible for making sure that they're installed and that they're working. Take that list, combine it with this monitoring, and you'll be able to make sure that all of those pieces of software are always present on those endpoints. If they're not, the check will fail, the service monitor will fail. All you have to do is give this a semicolon delimited list. So you just, Word, not Word, but Microsoft 2013, if that's what they got to have, well, semicolon. McAfee, AV, whatever you're going to have, semicolon. You just listed out everything that they're supposed to have on their system, and not there, check fails. And that can help you out with, staying on top of things, making sure that end users aren't uninstalling important software, that you don't have a potential compromise uh, or threat actor in the environment that's removing software. So like if somebody logs in and a malicious actor gains access to your systems and they remove your backup software that's on the system. Depending on what kind of backup you're using, not all backup solutions are going to be able to notify you that it's no longer present on the endpoint. Um, Especially if you're using something like a backup solution that is backing up to local, or you're backing up out to something like Wasabi or Backblaze. If that software gets uninstalled and the backup stopped running, well, maybe you'll find out because your backup solution will warn you that there's no recent backups. This closes it a little bit towards the initial event of the software not being there at all. Because if you're running this check every 15 minutes, well, you're only 15 minutes behind knowing that the backup solution software was uninstalled, versus normally your backup solution doesn't warn you that a fresh backup hasn't occurred in more than 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever you have your threshold set to. So this can help better secure your environments by narrowing the window of opportunity that exists whenever somebody maliciously deletes something. I want to switch over to something a little bit different than normal. I want to pull back the curtain on where do we get a lot of this information, or where do I get a lot of this information? So for the patches, no, what patches have came out? What are their severity? Are they marked as exploitation more likely or actively exploited? Well, if you want just the raw information from the source, Microsoft has the update guide where they publish all of the updates, the individual patches, the vulnerabilities that are being addressed. There's additional information for all of these. You can download this as a CSV or Excel spreadsheet so you can manipulate it in other ways. But this is just where you kind of get that core data from. The next thing is that I also, the community at large is a great community. And this is a dashboard that I like to go to that sorts out all the Microsoft patches based on metrics and gives me a nice little dashboard that I can quickly look at and see, all right, well, who apparently is the most important thing. Address these from left to right is not a bad way of doing it. I got a question coming in here. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to be also, if for anybody that's been following along and been trying to use any of the links I've had up on screen, if you go to the handout section of GoToWebinar, there should be a security office hours handout there, and there should be a bunch of these links on the bottom, and those should be all working links. If they're not, let me know. But with this patch Tuesday chart that I've got here, I've always liked these because it makes it super simple to just, again, work from left to right as part of my priority of, all right, whatever's here, that's the one I'm going to focus on the most, and go down there. If you don't have a well-established security framework where you've gone through the trouble of doing prioritization and classification of business systems, operation systems, which one should be patched first versus the other based on more than just the severity of a patch, this is a great way to just, to simplify the whole process for you. I don't see any new questions. Don't work error list has no rows for assignment SI, please. Which link was that was giving that error? Oh yeah, long-term subscription. So we are actively trying to figure out what we're going to be doing about the office hours sign up. If you do have a preference of, yes, I want to be able to sign up for, all of the office hours for 3 months, for 6 months, for a whole year, let me know. throw that in the chat here, or throw that in the in success in it. All right, so let's take a look at that real quick then. So now that we know that's the one, so. But yeah, in the chat, let us know if you have a preference of, yes, I would love to sign up for a year. Yes, I would prefer to sign up for half a month. Let me know. Patch demand without taking control. Sergio, is that for N-Central or RMM? That question. N-Central. All right. So there is a patch on demand option within N-Central. I can't tell you right off the top of my head where it is, but it does exist. It's in the same area that the run a task option for an individual endpoint is. That way, once it'll obey whatever your patch policy is, whatever your patch approvals are, and that allows you to just push them out immediately. Here we go. So I'm going to throw this in the chat. There we go. There is the link for the monitor if apps are installed for N-Central. All right. And again, the cookbook link that I just tossed in there, we're always adding to this. We always encourage anybody that's willing to share with the community, add stuff in here. Since patch is something we focus up on the security office hours, and it comes up a lot. Something that I have in here for our RMM partners, there is a patch. Yeah, here we go. The pre-patch prompt and staging. So this is one that I wrote. It's mainly for our RMM partners, but N-Central, you can use it as well. What this will do is prior to your patch window, whatever you have set up through your policy to say this is whenever I want patches to run, say we're going to set that at 9 o'clock at Friday night. Well, what you can do is assign this as an automated task that runs at 4 o'clock every Friday. And what it will do is it cleans out the software distribution download folder to clean that out to make sure that whenever the patch actually runs, it's going to force it to grab new, fresh versions of the updates, which can help out with certain, it's an old habit of mine from the Windows 7 days, but you know what? It's one of those shotgun approaches. It doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't take any additional technician labor or time to do it since it's automated. So why not? And then it will take and push a prompt notification to the end user. And this prompt notification, you're going to need to modify it so it has your company logo and your messaging in it. Because right now it's just a generic statement, the nerd logo in there. You should update that so it reflects your company. But then it gives them an option of do you want to restart now because your workday is over, or do you want to defer a reboot? And the purpose of that is so you can get a reboot in on the system prior to the patch window. Because if something goes wrong with a patch, what's the first thing a technician's probably going to do to troubleshoot it? They're probably going to restart the computer and try they're going to reboot the computer and try the patch again. So this kind of just bakes that into the process for you. Again, since it doesn't take any additional technician time or labor to make this happen, why not do it? This can also help out with one of the problems that MSPs have with clients, in the sense that if they don't see what you're doing, they don't feel your presence, there's always the chance that one day you're going to have the conversation of, well, we haven't seen you for 3 or 4 months. Why are we paying you? This can help keep you out of that situation. Some MSPs and some business owners have different competing philosophies around this. Mine has always been that what you do as an MSP should be unobtrusive, but it should not be invisible. Because if it's invisible, how are you showing value? If they're always up and running and they never have a problem, oh, they're going to misconstrue that as, well, there were never any problems for you to have to fix, so why are you here? By using these notifications and putting those small, quick reminders in front of them that, hey, we're going to be doing this. Hey, it's time for us to do your monthly maintenance. Make sure you leave your machines on this afternoon whenever you leave. Having a message being pushed back on the Monday morning that says, hey, we performed maintenance this week. If you notice any unusual behaviors or any unusual behaviors or you have concerns, contact us at, give them your phone number, give them a URL to submit a ticket, whatever it's going to be. But it's just a quick thing. All they have to do is click OK or no or cancel or whatever button you choose for the option to dismiss it. But you've got an opportunity again to remind them of your presence and what you're doing and how you're taking care of their environments. All right, guys. I've gotten all of the questions answered so far that have come up in the chat. I have to prep for some more Empower events here at Empower. If you did not register for Empower, still opportunity, still time. You can register for it. There's a few more webinars and sessions that are going to be going on that might be worthwhile for you to attend. I'm going to be doing one on PSA integrations for ConnectWise and Autotask and RMM. I'll also be doing a session on leveraging the RMM's API. So for anybody in the RMM platform that has this is a common thing that I help people with, they always want a brand new, fresh copy of a site installation package for an individual client being in a shared resource so technicians can grab it without having to pull it from the web console. Well, one of the things we'll be covering in that API session for RMM is how do you do that? And there'll be a lab that is associated with that you'll be able to download that has the information in on how to achieve that. So it's a small thing, but it's the small things that add up whenever you do it at scale. It's been a pleasure, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. I'm glad that we're starting to get a group of regulars here. It's much appreciated. My contact information is in the handout today. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and feel free to hit me up at any time. Part of my responsibility here is to be involved with the community. So if you just want to, you want to talk to somebody about how hard it is to source systems right now and how Dells are on 6 and 8 week backlogs for new servers, feel free to reach out to me. I don't have any connections at the moment that'll help you out with it, but if you just want to complain about it, I'll listen. Been a pleasure, everybody. Hopefully I may see you on some future the Empower sessions that are left for this week. If not, I'll catch you next month for the next office hours.